Yeah, we've had some wrestlers in our family, but we kept it outside the ring and more of the domestic assaults and all that. You know what I mean? So,
Welcome to Nerd Cittery, a nerd stillery podcast where no topic is off limits, nerd related or not. On today's episode, James sits down with brother-in-law Johnny to talk about wrestling. Their introduction, what did they love about it, and how they currently feel about it. All on today's episode of Nerd Cittery. Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Nerd Cittery, a Nerd Stillery podcast. I am here today with my brother-in-law for the first time, Johnny.
what's going on, man?
Yeah, so first time we've ever done anything like this.
Yep.
We are going to talk about wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun one.
So I'm sure there's a lot we can talk about. This might go on for a little while, which is fine. I'm cool with that. So I guess it's got to start, like, when did you start, or what got you into wrestling, I should say?
Man, so Kim's bedroom. Like, I was in Kim's room flipping through basic cable because she had cable in there. And it was, I think it was Goldberg or Stone Cold. It was something, they had some segment going on between that time. And when I saw Stone Cold come out,
Oh, man.
and I was like, and I saw the fans erupt, and I was like, holy shit, like, this is pretty cool. And I was just hooked, like, ever since. I was hooked on Monday Night Raw. SmackDown was a later time, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, like we were talking beforehand, I don't remember when I started watching wrestling.
Yeah.
I know, I gotta say it was around 2003 is when I stopped, because that's when your sister and I started dating.
Yeah.
And I don't remember watching it, and if I did, it was every now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely 99, 2000, it had to have been around then when it was hardcore. Like, it was a religious thing. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, Sunday Night Heat. Like, I would save up money. Me and a buddy of mine would save up money every month just to get the pay-per-views because we didn't want to miss anything, you know?
I missed every pay-per-view.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, man. So I will say the one thing that we will go into more later, because that's where I think the meat of this is going to be, is around, you and I were kind of around the same time.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a crossover, I will say, with the times that we watched. But what about the current state of wrestling? Like, how do you feel about it?
Well, I'd actually watched Monday Night Raw, like, before I came here.
Did you?
Like, I just skimmed through the latest episode. I think Big E just became world champion or something like that. And I was like, I mean, it's cool, but I mean, to see like guys like Bobby Lashley back, I mean, seeing like Brock Lesnar show up every 2 years, it's great. But to me, it's a lot. It's really corny. It's extremely corny now to me. Maybe it's because I'm an adult, but I don't know.
That's kind of what I've wondered, because, I mean, for one, it's the PG era of wrestling, as they're calling it. Which, you know, I get it, because, I mean, they went too far maybe a little bit during the Attitude Era with, like, Godfather and his hose and all this kind of stuff. But it's just, it just seems so boring now.
Yeah.
And I was watching a video, and it actually made sense. It was like, you know, the problems with modern-day wrestling. And, you know, one of the things was there's no, like, really, really big-name stars anymore.
No, yeah.
And if you think, like, even if you didn't watch wrestling in the late 80s, early 90s, you knew who Hulk Hogan was. Macho Man Randy Savage, The Undertaker.
Yeah.
During our time, you knew Stone Cold, you knew The Rock. You still knew The Undertaker, hell, he was still around. But now, like, John Cena, and I'll get to John Cena, what I feel like was the last household big-name person, like, everybody knew.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know any of these people, like, anymore.
Me neither, yeah.
I think it's kind of ran its course. And I think WWE is kind of running on fumes at this point. Mm-hmm. But as long as people, I mean, like, their viewership actually dropped, like, significantly.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, it was like by several millions over the last couple of years. It's bad.
Yeah, that's crazy, because, you know, you see all the fans in the audience, and I also have heard that they give away tickets for free sometimes.
Oh, really?
Just to get people in the building. I mean, that's pure speculation on somebody's part that I've heard.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
I was laughing over the, during, like, the quarantine, the footage from, like, when there was nobody in the audience.
Yep. It's like video screens everywhere.
Yeah. That had been the most awkward thing. Yeah, I don't know, like, it might be because we're older, maybe not, and I'll get into that more because there's something else I want to talk about, but I don't know, WWE doesn't seem the same anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, that was the other thing, the big part of it is, like, there's no real competition.
No.
Because when we were watching, it was WCW and WWF or WWE. So you had that rivalry and you had that competition. So they were trying harder. Now they're just like...
They're the NFL of professional wrestling.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, remember the XFL? You remember that?
Yeah, I think they're actually going to bring that back.
Seriously?
It's supposed to be last year, I thought, and then when COVID hit. I don't know if Vince McMahon wanted to bring it back.
Do you remember Tough Enough?
I do.
Yeah, I remember the first season of Tough Enough. I actually really liked it. Because it was good, but I remember, like, season 2, it just became Real World.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember it was like Al Snow and Triple H and all them. They would come in there and they would like just basically tell all these people that you're not good enough, you're not fucking good enough. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Well, there was a lot more like in-ring things, but then later on it became more about, again, it was like Real World, the drama, so that was sad. But who came out of that? Who was...
So, yeah, Maven. Maven came out of Tough Enough, and he's actually, I thought, like, that was kind of the time I was watching it with Maven there, and I loved like his theme song and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But I mean, I thought he was cool, but he had no character about him. I mean, he was really bland.
Who was it? Nadia? Was that the diva that came out?
Yeah, Nydia.
Nydia.
Yeah, Nydia. She came and she was like on the SmackDown brand. She was with what's his damn name? Short guy. Jesus. She was with him for a while, and she was kind of like just hanging out by the ringside, just for show. So,
the Attitude Era, man. This is where it all started for me and pretty much ended, I guess you'd say. So, favorite wrestlers. I mean, I guess we got to go with that. I'm going to go ahead and just say it right now. I think you and me can agree on at least one.
Okay.
Stone Cold.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, Stone Cold was no doubt the one that like really got me into wrestling.
Well, it's like a little like his FU attitude to like kind of Vince McMahon and all that. People love that because they probably felt the same way at like work, like these older people.
Oh yeah, I mean there was something about him that was just so iconic. Just like, I mean, for one, the entrance theme when that glass shatters, like that still today like brings like chills when I hear that if I'm going back and watching something.
Yeah.
The theme song itself was just epic. It got you pumped up. He just comes out there running his mouth. And it was just I don't know, man. He had like this persona that could never be replicated.
Yeah, he was like energetic, and he just was like hard hitting. Like he'd come out there, his music hits, like and like that, like everybody's up on their feet.
Yeah,
because he's coming out smashing beers and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the beers and all this kind of stuff. But it didn't seem like a gimmick.
No, it seemed like it was really him.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it wasn't like, I love the Undertaker. Undertaker's another one, but definitely like a gimmick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Stone Cold for me, all-time favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, so you were watching probably what, in the 90s and stuff like that, wrestling. Yeah. So you literally stopped watching wrestling when I started.
It's about like I said, there's a weird like little crossover, I will say.
Yeah, so Stone Cold was basically close to being out the door by the time I started watching wrestling. So mine was like, I liked Edge. I mean, he was one of my favorites. I liked heel Randy Orton in Evolution. I thought he was pretty cool.
Still around, yeah. This is when I was like drifting off, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, mainly I liked Edge.
Edge became a lot better when he was solo.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, like I hated Edge and Christian, but not like, and like I want to see these guys die. No, they were just the perfect heels. And they had some of the most epic matches with like the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But Edge, I don't know, I think both of them even kind of shined more on their own.
Yeah, definitely did. I think Edge more so than Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Christian. He seems like a good wrestler.
He became like the world champion or something, like TNA, wasn't he, or something?
Yeah, he actually became world champion in WWE too.
Like, did he?
Finally, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, damn, he kind of well-deserved,
After all these years,
I know. Yeah, it was mainly like Edge. I liked Edge a lot. I thought he was cool. And there was a lot of times where I was like, I mean, I guess they bring in life scenarios and stuff in. They write it in, the real stuff that's going on behind closed doors.
I remember the whole... I wasn't watching at this time, but I do know about the Lita situation.
Yes. Even as a kid, I was like, this is like borderline porn at this point.
Well, basically, titty flash on live TV.
I know.
That happened.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Why did they actually have to get naked, though? That was like, why?
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Okay, if you don't know what we're talking about, there's like one scene on freaking, was it Raw, I assume?
Yeah.
There's like a bed in the middle of the ring, and they just like start going at it in the ring.
Yeah, I know.
And there's like a scene where the sheet comes down a little bit, and there's booby.
Yeah.
Live TV.
All of it. Everybody.
Yep. Yeah, Edge was pretty cool, I think, by himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I already mentioned The Undertaker. I don't think there's a more legend in the industry. I mean, good Lord, he was in it for how long? I mean,
Oh, yeah. He's been in there forever.
yeah, I mean, back in like the late 80s. And he was still going strong. Like, it was only, recently he finally retired, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Who did he? It was Brock Lesnar. I think he lost his streak to, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The WrestleMania streak.
Yeah, I remember. I'll tune into stuff like that. Like if I hear, okay, Undertaker's like streak is broken, I was like, I'm gonna tune into that.
That's the thing. I haven't watched it for years, and I was like, wait a minute, Undertaker lost his streak. What the hell just happened? Like I still care about it to this day.
This is pretty sweet. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was a fitting way to go down. I think he should have just retired undefeated, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Undertaker, though, was weird because I know when I started really watching it. So I would occasionally watch. I know my grandfather would watch like WCW and WWF like mid '90s, and I would tune in. So I was familiar with them. I just wasn't like hooked on it. But I came in during the American Badass of the Undertaker.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool,
yeah.
and it was needed because I mean, let's be honest, the Undertaker character was kind of getting ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
But it was like so fitting because if that didn't happen, it wouldn't have been as epic when he finally came back as the old school Undertaker. Because now it's nostalgic.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what sucks for me is that I did miss like the American Badass phase, but I can go back with all this with streaming and stuff. I can go back and watch all that, and I've watched like the matches with him as the American Badass and how he come up on the motorcycle. I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah, it was a well needed change, I would say.
Yep.
Triple H was one. I didn't really care for Triple H until later on.
Yeah.
But I do remember like he got like injured, and I remember when he came back, he was just huge.
Oh yeah.
It was definitely after the whole DX thing that I really started to like Triple H. But I mean, there were some classic matches with like him and Stone Cold and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The Rock.
Yeah.
What's your opinions on The Rock? I'm curious.
Again, like I thought he was a good heel. Like back when 2003 when I was watching it, I was like, he's pretty funny. He's cool. He's charismatic and stuff. But then he would just disappear, like out of nowhere. He would just be gone for years. Then come back, and then he just gets everyone loves him to death.
Yep.
He's definitely. I mean, he's gonna be in the Hall of Fame no matter what, for sure.
He is. So, and I think this is what I will say about, at least when I was watching, I didn't care for The Rock.
Yeah.
I understood the appeal, but to me, I just didn't really care for him. I mean, the man has got the most charisma I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. But again, like he was kind of like the anti-Stone Cold in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why I didn't like him. But I mean, that's not to state that I didn't see some amazing matches.
Yeah.
The one thing with him though is like, dude, he would like almost always get his ass kicked throughout half the match. And then here comes the people's elbow. I'm like, God.
An elbow.
Yeah, all that for an elbow drop. But, yeah, I mean, The Rock is iconic. I just didn't care for him when
definitely
he was around. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you saw him in a different era. And I saw him when he was like this Hollywood star coming back. And
so I do remember that because he'd come back, win the championship, lose it, then leave, work on another movie, come back again. It was just like...
Yeah,
that was definitely when I was like, okay, I'm getting done with this. Like,
just come back for the money.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I guess to fill that paycheck that he's not getting for not being in a movie or something.
Yeah, so Brock Lesnar, if you're watching this, we know what's going on, man.
Right.
So, what's your opinion on Batista?
I mean, I like Batista when he came out. Again, this was kind of while I'm starting to phase out of it, but I mean, I thought Batista was pretty cool when I saw him.
Yeah, he was all right. Yeah, he was okay. I mean, to me, okay.
Yeah, he was okay. I mean,
but again, it's like back then, looking back now, Vince McMahon liked the bigger guys.
Yeah,
he wanted to get the championship on those guys, and then it kind of screwed guys like Edge over.
Yep.
Because I mean, you could see, like watching wrestling, like going back in 2000, like watching it from now and going back and watching 2004 matches, you could see, like it seems like Edge was really pissed off. Like
I could imagine.
Like he sees these guys coming in and getting the championship, and I feel bad for the guy. Looking back now, it's like this guy has a great career. He's very entertaining, cool entrance music. He's a good showman in every single way. And then Batista comes in, evolution. But I mean, Batista's cool. Yeah.
With that being said, that's what's so funny about it because I remember I met the Undertaker once. I think it was the first pay-per-view I went to. They were doing a signing at, I can't remember where it was. It was where we got the tickets. So my mom took me to get the tickets for this pay-per-view, and Undertaker was there to do a meet and greet. Now, mind you, I'm like 14 at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not a very tall person to begin with. But, dude, no joke, this guy was sitting down, and I'm staring eye to eye with this man. And I mean, he was a cool guy. He was, he was just kind of there. But I still state to this day, the dude hit on my mom.
Really? Undertaker?
Which was funny because my mom was like, oh, I'd like to meet the Undertaker. She didn't care about wrestling, but she was like, I think he's kind of hot. My mom is weird. My mom is very weird. I've always said my mom's 3 favorite animals besides horses are cats, rats, and bats. No joke. That's my mom.
Okay.
But yeah, it was funny because when I walked up, he was like, "Oh, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, nice to meet you." My mom walks up, "Oh, how are you? How are you?" Like his attitude completely changed. Right, yeah. But I mean, God, I can't tell you how tall he is. But I met Brian Christopher. You remember Scotty Too Hottie and
yeah.
So I thought like maybe he was about the size of me because you see him on TV.
Yeah.
I have a picture of him. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
no,
he's a little bit bigger than you think. Because of these big guys, your perspective of like how big these people are is completely out the window. Like when I think of like Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, I'm assuming they're like you and me.
Yeah.
No, they're like 230 pounds, like 6'3" and all this kind of stuff, and they're cruiserweights.
Oh yeah.
It's like mind blowing. Well, speaking of like tag teams, like for me, like the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian.
Okay.
Again, still some of the greatest matches. The tag teams were something else when I was watching.
Okay.
Especially with like the TLC matches and all this kind of stuff. Even though I didn't like Edge and Christian, man, they were still part of like amazing matches.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I don't think tag teams were a big thing during my time because it was more stables. They had Evolution. Yeah. They took over the tag team champions, they were the tag team champions. Like Batista and Ric Flair were the tag team champions.
Oh yeah, that's another thing we can talk about. Odd pairings, like what was it, the Rock and Sock connection, Rock and Mankind.
Nothing makes me more upset than Chris Jericho and the Big Show, and then they combined their entrance music, and I was like, this is horrible. Like, what are you thinking?
Do you remember Booker T and Goldust? Do you remember?
I do. Yeah, I remember that.
That was actually hilarious.
Okay, yeah. That was funny.
There's one that I remember where like Booker T was like hooking up with this girl like in a hotel room, and he's like in bed with her, and they shut off the lights, and you just hear Goldust, and the lights come on. It's just Booker T just staring at Goldust in the bed with him, and I'm like,
oh my god,
that was actually pretty hilarious. I'm not.
Goldust had some funny moments, man.
Oh my god,
dude, when he was like, I guess he got electrocuted.
Oh yeah, and he had like Tourette's or something.
Yeah, and he was in the ring with Triple H. I remember he was just like trying to talk to him. Oh, dude, it was so amazing. That was so funny.
Goldust was something else, man. Which is funny because I thought was it Dustin Rhodes?
Yep.
I thought he hated that character.
I think he did.
But
yeah.
I mean, he brought it back several times. I don't know.
I think he was getting paid for it. So,
that's true.
I mean, hell, I would too.
I mean, we got to bring up Macho Man Randy Savage since your family is somewhat associated with Macho Man Randy Savage.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I think I might have heard it. I don't know if the story is true. So
it is. It's 100% true. It's on Wikipedia.
Okay, well then let's bring it up because I don't know. Let refresh my memory on that.
So Kim knows more about it, but what is it? Great aunt or something like that. Cora Combs she's a legend actually. She's in like the Hall of Fame and all this kind of stuff, even the WWE Hall of Fame. So she wrestled like back when,
Okay.
But Debbie, her daughter, who is still alive, and Kim has met. She's also, I think she's in one of the Hall of Fames. I'm not sure. But for a little while, I actually dated Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
And
wow.
So she was actually supposed to be on WrestleMania 10, I think.
Okay.
Or one of the WrestleManias, but was like last minute replaced. So yeah, you
that sucks.
Sort of have wrestling legends in your family, and I'm married into it. Which, granted, it's not blood on your side. It was still a marriage.
Definitely not. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though, man.
It's cool.
And like when Kim told me that, she was like, "I don't get the."
Yeah. Look. Yeah. Yeah. We've had some wrestlers in our family, but we kept it outside the ring and more of the domestic assaults and all that. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. I mean, I remember hearing about that. And I was like, that's pretty sweet. And I'm pretty sure I tried to look into it, and I was like, I don't see anything.
Yeah, it's.
So,
I looked into it.
Cool. I mean, that's pretty sweet.
So I guess with that, yeah, we can talk about some moves. So like finishers.
Okay.
I mean, again, for me, I'm gonna go with Stone Cold, man. Like that Stone Cold Stunner was just iconic.
Yeah.
It was just there was nothing better than watching Stone Cold run into a ring and just like Stone Cold stun like 5 people in a matter of like 5 seconds. But what I liked about that move is like it kind of made sense in a way. Like again, not to make fun of The Rock, but the rock bottom. I mean, really,
Just thrown on the mat.
yeah, and then like the people's elbow. I mean, if you really did like, not the way Stone Cold did it, but if you actually like drop someone on their neck, I mean, you'd paralyze them pretty much. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it was like the quickness of that move.
Yeah.
It was just so sudden and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, Stone Cold, man.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I like the ingenuity in that kind of move, like the kick to the gut and all that. There's actual effort into making something like that. So now I'm really thinking about it. I like the Unprettier with Christian. I thought that was pretty cool, and it does kind of look like, oh, that could hurt. You're behind some dude's back and you're going down to the mat. Like the shooting star press. I like that.
Which Brock Lesnar has attempted several times.
Well, yeah, when at WrestleMania almost broke his neck doing that. But it's cool to see. I mean, it's cool to see a big guy try to do a move like that. But man, you shouldn't be doing a move like that at all.
Well, yeah, and speaking of which, I mean, you brought up like the cruiserweights. I think that was what was so interesting about the cruiserweights is because they weren't big and they weren't able to do all these like cool moves. But I mean, they're like flying around the ring, doing backflips and all this kind of stuff. Like the Swanton Bomb from like Jeff Hardy. Like anytime that man did that off a 15-foot ladder into 3 tables.
Yeah, he did it off the Titantron.
Yeah.
Back in 2007. I was like, dude.
Daredevils, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's still around.
Dude, with that and the drugs, I was like, oof.
Yeah, he's had a rough time. Yeah. Well, it's funny because, well, I think I'm stepping ahead, but I'll go ahead and say it. So, your sister never really cared about wrestling. But I remember when we went to Atlanta, I know I told you about this, I think, a while ago, but we went to the Southern Fried Gaming Expo, and I get there and I get one of the pamphlets, and there's like a thing about live wrestling. I'm like, oh, I got to go see this. And she's like, no, I'm not going to that. What do you have to lose? Like, if you don't like it, you can just go back out and play some games.
Yeah.
And she got into it pretty quick, but I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But the last time we went back in August, and I remember I picked up a ladder match DVD set for like classic ladder matches, and I was like, popped one in. It was like Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardy Boys. And she was like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? Yeah. Now that she's kind of seen it more up close and she knows it's staged. Yeah. It's not necessarily fake. You can't fake jumping off a 15-foot ladder into 3 tables onto a goddamn concrete floor.
You can't.
So I think that's what I always got very annoyed when people are like, it's fake, right? I'm like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Speaking of which, actually this is going off, but one of my favorite matches was from King of the Ring between 2 wrestlers I did not give a shit about. It was Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon.
Yes.
I saw this live. This was the craziest match I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever. And I don't know if you know the story behind it, but it didn't go as planned.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I've looked into that. I watched that match. Because, again, going back, you can go... I got the Peacock app. I go on WWE, and you can watch that stuff. And I've watched the whole backstory, rewatched that match. And I was like, dude. I was like, you missed... That's the owner's son.
Yeah, Shane McMahon was nuts.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, like he's done some crazy stuff. But that match was intense.
Yeah.
And like that was the one match that night I was like, I don't give a shit about this. And the entire time I was like, oh my God, what is going on?
Yeah.
So, and that's, again, that's why I'm like, oh, it's fake. I'm like, okay, yeah, you fake that all you want.
Yeah, he was really hurt.
Yeah.
And
it was
then
real blood.
Kurt Angle messed his back up.
Yeah.
Like on the ramp. I think he did a suplex or something, and then he tore his back up pretty bad on that.
I mean, Kurt Angle was something else. I mean, gold medal.
Oh, yeah, and then he went through the whole
on a broken neck.
Yeah, he went through the whole thing. I mean, with Shane McMahon throwing him to the wrong glass, like, twice, I think.
Yeah. No, I think it was the right glass. I think they just forgot to replace it or something. It was supposed to be fake glass.
Oh, my God.
And Shane just like, do it again.
Yeah. They cussing him out. Vince McMahon's going crazy in the back.
Oh, yeah, I could only imagine. Yeah. Which, now we're just going on a tangent, but did you ever see the footage when Vince McMahon ripped his quads or whatever it was?
Was it on his way to the ring with his walk?
Yes, he gets in the ring and just plops down, is just yelling at these giant fucking wrestlers.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to finishers.
Yeah.
You know, the pedigree I always thought was cool.
Yeah.
Until, like, well, I get why it became a lot safer. Because you can definitely see the evolution of some moves. But, you know, the power driver obviously is now a banned move. Like, no one's allowed to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how Stone Cold's career got shortened. Which, thankfully, he didn't get paralyzed.
Yeah.
The Tombstone power driver, I think Undertaker was allowed to do that for so long because, for one, it was safer the way he did it. But, plus, he'd been around for so long. He was a legend.
Of course, you're not going to tell him no.
Right, yeah. I mean, you know, Kane again, and Undertaker. The choke slam was always awesome.
Yeah,
like,
Kane was badass. He was a badass. He was definitely one of my favorites.
I liked him more back then during like the whole like brother relationship with the Undertaker, and like he had the mask. When he took the mask off for one, I was like, put it back on.
No, to me it was the opposite. I was like, this guy's like freaky looking.
He was, yeah.
They did a lot. They really did. They did good. They did the best they could, I think, on that.
And that was the mayor of Knoxville or whatever.
Hey, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. I do remember a lot of people did the spear, but I don't feel like anybody did it better than Goldberg, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, that and Rhino.
Yeah.
Both of them. I think Rhino was just because he was shorter, but still like huge.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, the thing with like Edge, I never understood why he did the spear because I'm like, you're kind of a small guy. Like, it just didn't seem like it had the same impact, so to speak.
It definitely, yeah. It would. If you tried to do that to Brock Lesnar, it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Like, you would just run into him, he would be like a statue.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
But Goldberg,
yeah.
Goldberg did it.
I think it goes back to also the people who sell it also. Like,
That's true.
The Rock is really good at it. Like, he sold that pretty damn good.
The Rock oversold the damn stunner, but it was so hilarious at the same time, though.
He's just making like a mockery of it, really, at that point.
Well, moving on for theme songs, man. Favorite theme songs or entrance themes. I'm going to go with Stone Cold again.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, God, man.
There's so many of them.
There's a lot. And during the time I was watching it, there was some good music. They had good music.
Yeah.
Like Alter Bridge did Edge's theme.
Yep.
Maven had a good theme song. It was like by Mercy Drive.
I will say, you know, people want to hate on like new metal and the music I listened to in the early 2000s, but I mean, that really made wrestling at the time.
Oh, for sure.
Undertaker came out with American Badass by Kid Rock for a while, and then he came out with Rollin', which, say what you want, it's a badass song.
Yeah, it's badass when the Undertaker's walking out to it, though.
Well, riding
out with his motorcycle, okay.
Well, not really new metal, but when Motorhead, they still do it. The Game, you know, Triple H's music. I love that song.
I liked Line in the Sand. I liked Evolution's theme song by Motorhead. I thought that was a really good song. But yeah, I really loved like Edge's theme song. Again, it goes back. I mean, he had like the perfect opportunity. He had like the music. I mean, he's cool. He dressed cool. He'd go out to the ring. He had a good moveset. I mean, the spear, of course, against big guys would make sense. But back then, when you're watching, you're a kid. You're like, hell yeah, this is cool. Don't care. Yeah.
Theme songs, man, I don't know. That was just, there's something about the entrance themes. But I think the reason, I mean, Stone Cold's to me was just always iconic. I mean, for one, that glass shatter. Mm-hmm. But the music, it fit his persona. But I remember when Disturbed did their version of it.
Which is pretty cool.
It is, man.
It is badass.
And it just, that was actually, I think that was when I started getting hardcore. I think he came back for like Unforgiven. Maybe. Yeah. My brain doesn't always work. But, and I remember like hearing the music. I'm like, man, what is that? Is that this? I was like, it sounds like Disturbed. There's no way that's Disturbed. And then I found out it was. But, yeah, that was... But at one point he did change his music, and it just didn't work.
Stone Cold did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he brought it back.
Yeah, I mean, the music, I guess watching it when I was a kid, it kind of shaped, like, the other music I'm into today, and then I'm into, like, I was into when I was a kid, like Breaking Benjamin, Seether, you know, all these bands, and I think it's really because of wrestling. Like, because I watched wrestling, I saw their theme songs, and it kind of took shape.
It's the opposite for me because a lot of these bands I was already into, and it was even more awesome. Like, I know, what pay-per-view did I go to? Judgment Day, I think. And, like, 12 Stones, I think, was the ones that they did the theme song.
I didn't hear about 12 Stones until, like, this whole Nexus group came out, and they came out with a 12 Stones, like, theme song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was, like, called We Are One or something like that. And I
was
I'm going to dig more into 12 Stones, and, like, Broken is such a good song.
Yeah, I think that was the theme song for Judgment Day.
Yeah, so... Yeah, 12 Stones was cool. I mean, Alter Bridge, Mercy Drive, Motorhead. I mean, I didn't listen to much of Motorhead outside of the Game and Line in the Sand.
Yeah.
But it's a good band.
So you've never had the chance to go to like a live event, right?
No.
Yeah. I will say this. I mean, unless you're ringside, I can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine. I've been there. I went to a couple of live events for WWE, even back in the day when I cared about it. And unless you're ringside, dude, it just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't even like that far back, but like there's no commentary. You don't hear the commentary, and it's just like there's something like that commentary adds to like the matches for some reason. And especially when I was watching with like Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, like their dynamic was just weird, but it worked.
Yeah, I would love to go to a live event. I remember my dad had he came home. He had Velocity tickets. I don't know if you remember Velocity.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, when I was a kid, I was like, I don't even like Velocity. Who the fuck wants to watch Velocity? but yeah, I would think ringside would be the only way to actually experience it. Because again, that goes back. I watched the new episode of Raw. There's people who sit behind a Titantron.
What?
Pretty close behind to the Titantron. So the stage to come out, there's people sitting like they're just watching wrestlers come out and go down the ring. I'm like, go down the ramp. I'm thinking, those got to be the free tickets. Those have to be the free tickets.
I would assume, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very anticlimactic for me. It just wasn't as exciting. And even going to see a live pay-per-view, I was like super excited about it, and I was like, eh. And it was actually a Hell in a Cell match. It was between Triple H and Chris Jericho. And this is around the time where they were really... And I get it. They were like taming themselves down. Like Mankind did some stupid shit he probably shouldn't have done. But there's reasons why we still talk about that match to this day. And I'm not saying that, Chris Jericho or Triple H should have been thrown off the top of the cell, but it would have been entertaining.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I will say if you can ever go to like a small time event, do it. So back to what I was talking about earlier with when we went to Atlanta, it was the, not to be confused with AEW, but AWE, the Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. They do live shows at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo that we go to. And it was funny because that night I was like, just told the wife, come on down, just watch a match with me. Like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but I had been to 2 other like smaller events. I went to an NWA where I saw actually Brian Christopher again wrestle, and I saw Jerry the King Lawler, which was weird because he came out to Marilyn Manson's Beautiful People that night.
Who? Jerry Lawler?
Jerry Lawler did.
That's really weird.
It was really weird.
Did he have the crown and everything with him as he did it?
He was still the king.
And he walked casually?
No, he didn't walk casually necessarily.
Did he have a little pep in his step at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to another small one up in Pennsylvania when I was up there visiting. And so I already knew that these smaller events, like there's something special about them.
Yeah.
So, and I drug the wife down there and she fell in love with it.
Yeah.
It was weird. But what's cool about this is, I mean, it's in a very small, like this venue, this room in a hotel. It's just like one of those like conference rooms or whatever. And I mean, you can walk up right next to the ring if you want. They encourage you, actually. Just hang out next to the ring. You might get someone thrown on top of you, but you're encouraged. But it's one of the favorite things that we enjoy doing. Like, she looks forward to it. And I think part of it is they don't seem to take themselves too serious.
Yeah.
And I think there's been like a weird renaissance with wrestling, because you got to think in the late 80s, early 90s, there was always the question, is it real? Where when I was watching it, it was, and you were watching it, most people know it's not real.
Yeah.
It's fake or whatever, and it's people make fun of you for it.
Yeah.
Where now it's like everybody's in on the joke.
Yeah.
And they're definitely, I feel like they're in on the joke. Like, they don't take themselves too serious. It's very entertaining. But the greatest thing about it was, I remember, I think it was the second year we were there, there was like this 14-year-old girl who was there with her dad. Yeah. And she was not happy, like, whatsoever. Like, the 14-year-old girl attitude, arms crossed.
Oh, like, yeah.
Dude, no joke, by match 2, she was up on the side of the ring, slapping the ring, like, get up! She was so into it. It was so weird. And it's funny because, like, last time we were there were, like, 70-year-old women there, like, just having a gay old time, like, watching wrestling. It was something else, dude. So, yeah, if you can ever go to, like, a small-time event, 100%. But unless you can get ringside seats to WWE.
Yeah, I did look into, like, the smaller promotions around the area. And there was one in McMinnville. Like, I just looked it up on YouTube. Pretty racy stuff.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, yeah, so it's a bunch of rednecks out of shape. And I'm thinking about trying to get Sarah to come up with me to go there. And then I'm going to go out and be a wrestler that night. I'm just going to do it one night.
I'd do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they looked terrible, but...
Well, and that's the other thing. Like AWE, most of them aren't like in like the best shape in the world, but you know, like it's still entertaining.
Yeah, go out, get drunk, have fun.
Right.
That's
yeah.
it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's something else, man. And like so now, like Kim has like a new appreciation because she was in the mindset of, you know, it's all fake.
Yeah.
But again, like TV kind of desensitizes you in a way.
Oh, for sure.
And like, you know, her like actually going up and getting to feel the ring, and she's like, this is not as soft as I thought it was.
It's not a pillow.
No, it's not. I mean, there's give to it, but I mean, it still hurts when you get slammed onto that ring.
Yeah.
Especially by like, Brock Lesnar, like,
Man.
and there's a new appreciation, but I mean, it's entertainment. That's what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be, so.
Yeah, it's just like the blading and all that stuff like going on, like you really, yeah.
Well, yeah, and sometimes it's not even blading, and like the freaking King of the Ring match we were talking about with Shane McMahon, he was just bleeding because of actual glass.
Yeah, I mean these guys pull stuff in their back, they get hurt. I mean Randy Orton, he was thrown off the top rope, broke his clavicle, and I mean going to like this New Jack guy, like cutting people open and stuff, chair shots. Like, dude, you're not gonna get hit with a chair and then really like, oh, that's fake. It's like,
yeah,
there's a lot to that.
ECW, I don't know if you ever had the chance to watch ECW.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back. I got to watch stuff from the past. I watched the New Age ECW, which is terrible.
Yeah.
But going back and looking at it, and I was like, God, like Sabu and
Sabu was nuts, dude.
Yeah.
You see the one where like I think there was like a barbed wire match or something, and like
the ropes were barbed wire.
Yeah, and like
his
arm like was just sliced, like muscle was out. Oh my.
Yeah, so I have to turn away from that kind of stuff because it's too graphic.
They went too far, man.
They really did.
Some of the stuff they did, and like I mean, even with like the TLC matches, like was kind of rough. But no, they I don't know how anybody even survived.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But with that, I never really watched any of the backyard wrestling. But do you remember that being like kind of a big thing?
Yep.
Remember like the DVDs on TV?
They would hit. Yeah, they would hit each other with like those light bulbs.
Yep.
And I'm like okay.
So one of the
you getting paid for this, buddy?
No. One of the we haven't played it in so long. I'm gonna have to bust it out this weekend. But I got one of the backyard wrestling games.
Okay.
That they released. I think I have it on the PS2. I think I have both of them. And I remember one night Kim and I were playing it, and I was like, shit, I wish I had this when I was a kid, because it's just, I mean, it's a terrible game.
Yeah.
But it's just so stupid, like the crap that you can do, and we were just having a fun time just beating the shit out of each other with anything you can find. And yeah, I mean, it was a weird time, man.
Yeah.
It was a weird time. And so with that being said, I'm kind of led into it, but video games.
Okay.
Is there like a specific favorite of yours?
No favorites, but I would skip school time to time and go to my buddy's house and we play SmackDown versus Raw. Those games like 2005, 2006. But mainly, I mean, I wasn't really big into the wrestling games. There's other things like Halo and stuff like that. But I did like Wrestlemania. I think it was Wrestlemania 18 for the GameCube or 19.
Yeah.
But one of those. It had like the one you showed me earlier, like with Hulk Hogan, Rob Van Dam, and Stone Cold on the front.
Yeah. Mine, the first one was WrestleMania 2000 on the N64.
Oh yeah.
And I still remember to this day actually beating this game because I think Undertaker had the championship. And it was the funniest thing. I was actually at a friend of mine's house, and I was like worried about this match because I'm like, man, this is gonna be hard. I know it's probably gonna lose. And it was so funny, like Undertaker threw me out of the ring, and I was like, he beat the crap out of me. Like I was not getting up. And I remember getting up at like the 9 count. And as I'm running into the ring, here comes the Undertaker jumping out of the ring as I'm getting in. Yeah. He hits the ground, 10 count, I won the championship. God, that's how I beat WrestleMania 2000. But yeah, then No Mercy came out.
Man. I think, I remember No Mercy.
Oh, man, No Mercy. I mean, people still talk about that game to this day. It was just so epic. And it's sad to go back and play that game now and just see how many people have passed away. Eddie Guerrero, Crash Holly. God, there's like so many more, like Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, for sure. That's rough. I remember finding out when Eddie Guerrero died. Like some kid told me on the bus like an asshole. But I don't think really anything hit hard as it did with Chris Benoit. Like,
that was nuts, man.
That was crazy. And that was a bad time in my life. And then I'm turning on the TV. There's this tribute to like Chris Benoit, because when Vince McMahon's standing in the middle of that ring, there's no one in the audience. You're like, oh fuck, who died this week?
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's Chris Benoit. They aired this tribute only to pull his name after finding out the details.
And it's a crazy thing because like there's a photo that he took with a fan, and they believe that his family was already dead at this point. It was like the last known photo of Chris Benoit. Positive note, moving on. But last two games I got to talk about were Raw and Raw 2 on the Xbox.
Okay, yeah, I remember Raw. I think it was Raw. Yeah, it was like on the Xbox. I had one of those games.
Raw was a piece of shit.
Yeah,
but I will tell you right now, I had so many memories of that game. But whether or not the thing with me and my friends, dude, we were like so hardcore about creating our own wrestlers.
Okay,
it was bad. Like we would spend hours just creating a wrestler, and like it got to a point like I bought these games to basically make my own. Wrestling organization. Like I never played as anybody else. I just had all my own people. And Raw was, they obviously rushed that game out because it was just lacking, but Raw 2 really made it up. That's when you had like a lot of matches and all this kind of stuff. But the Creator Wrestler, to me, to this day, is like still one of the best. It was so much fun. It was good times. I have so many memories when it comes to wrestling, even if it's not something I'm big into nowadays.
Yeah.
But like we said, I don't know, just what I see on TV just isn't, it's not the same. But like I said, if you can go to a small time event, 100% suggest it.
I definitely want to try that, especially when my son gets older. Like I'm definitely going to take him to some of these events that I never got to go to, and hopefully maybe he'll find some attachment into it. And maybe it might bring some love back to wrestling for me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And like especially when you get him young, like, if you could take him to like a small event, man, that would blow them away, I guarantee.
Yeah.
It's definitely weird when you're a kid because, I mean, these people were essentially superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you never saw someone like that big in real life and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And then
they had like a good, like, mysterious type deal with wrestling back in the day. Now, now they have Twitters and they're online everywhere, and then you get like news stories about them all the time.
Yep.
And it's just like, man, it's kind of gone away because of that. It's
not the same because, I mean, back then, like, they weren't human.
Yeah, they weren't. Like, when I was a kid, even starting out, and I was like, Undertaker was like, this guy really lives in Death Valley? This guy lives in a desert?
Yeah, why?
Sleeps in a coffin, probably.
Yeah, then they're just normal, everyday people, you know? Just like you and me. It's weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, some of the imagination is definitely gone.
Yeah.
I will say, like, from what I've seen bits and pieces of, I feel like the Diva fights have gotten a little bit better than they were when I watched because they were bra and panty matches, which don't get me wrong, when I was 13, I'm like, fuck yeah. You know?
Yeah, it was really degrading to women everywhere.
The worst match I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but it was the thong stink face match.
I don't remember that. Was Rikishi a part of that?
No, but he was the influence of it. And yeah, it was like a bra and panty match, but you basically had to do the stink face to win the match. And I can't remember who was in it, but I was like, wow. Like, looking back, you just see like this weird evolution with wrestling, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I liked Victoria when she was a wrestler. I thought she was really neat. Because, like, Victoria and Lita, I mean, it seemed like, I guess Lita in later times with Victoria, it seemed like she wasn't having any of that shit. She was like, I'm not going to get in those kind of matches and stuff.
Lita was kind of special because she was kind of like the anti-diva in a way as well. You know, being with the Hardy Boys, but, you know, being like a high flyer and all this kind of shit. Yeah. She kind of broke the mold a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of them, like Trish Stratus, God, who else was there back then?
Like Tori Wilson and all
Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler.
Yeah. Like, they're all just like for looks.
Pretty much.
You know, that's it. Just for like the eye candy for like the older guys in the audience.
Yeah. And I'll give them credit because, I mean, now they have like the women's championship, but they also have like the tag team women's championship. So at least they're getting a little bit more respect. We're going to wrap this up on a negative subject. Least favorite wrestler. That's what I wanted to bring up.
Least favorite wrestler. Oh, man. I'll let you go first.
I'm going to catch some shit for this. And I'll explain.
Okay.
John Cena.
You're not going to catch too much shit from that.
I don't know, man. I will say, I think John Cena was the last big name superstar, I would say. I don't know why. But I think he is to blame for the reason I stopped watching wrestling. And let me explain. I remember, like, so again, I was getting out of it. I wasn't really watching it much, but a buddy of mine hit me up. He's like, hey, dude, I couldn't tell you which year it was, but he's like, I'm getting Royal Rumble, the pay-per-view, if you want to come over and watch it. I was like, yeah, sure. So I'm out of the loop. I don't know who half these people are and all this kind of shit. And I remember my first time ever seeing John Cena. He comes out rapping, so I'm like, okay, you're just ripping off Road Dogg and K-Quick at this point. I remember the last thing he said. Now, I thought it was pretentious. This is the Royal Rumble. Yeah. You run out to the ring for the Royal... No, he still has to come out rapping. I remember he gets up to the ring. He's still rapping. And the last line that he says, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I couldn't tell you the rest of the rap, but the last line he said was, I'm like a swollen penis. You can't beat me. Done. I was done with wrestling at that point. And then he became the biggest freaking star.
Oh, yeah, because he cleaned it up. He cleaned up his act. And they marketed the hell out of him.
They really did. And I don't, like, I have nothing against him. I just don't understand, like, why he became that big.
Man, but least liked wrestler. I really didn't like the small little hack wrestlers they'd bring in, like Simon Dean. He was like this guy who'd come out in a gym suit and a Segway.
Oh!
And selling protein shakes and stuff.
I know what you're talking about.
So I hated those. Going back and looking back, I really hated the Eugene character. Not so much as for the character itself. Nick Dinsmore, I think, is his name. But it kind of like, it throws crap all over his career.
It was such in poor taste. Like, it was.
Yeah, it is bad, but I feel really bad for like that Nick Dinsmore who has to go out and be Eugene.
It was I mean, because you had like Al Snow, who was kind of like sort of psychotic.
Yeah.
But it was like done in a weird way where, like, I don't know, they went full what. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up. So I mean, I could talk all day about wrestling, but great memories, great times, but just something that just not the same. But,
yeah, I think I'm a little bit more comfortable letting my son watch it today.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
I mean, going back in time and letting him watch what I watched or what you watched, especially. So.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. Maybe we'll have Johnny back for another fun topic.
Yep.
So, thanks for being here, and
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
Hope you had fun.
Yeah, I did.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to this month's episode of Nerd Cittery. Next month, two sophisticated drunks talk about their history with booze.